Boom, we are back. Welcome back to the boardroom. Joined by my co-host Alex. Alex, how you doing?
Doing good, man. You know, great, great weekend. Uh, it was nice to be right on 95% of my predictions. So
You
it
had
was
you
good,
had
man.
you had a very accurate Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Damn
felt
near
good.
got everything right.
Felt good. Felt real good.
It's good. Fun weekend. The game was a little bit less than I was hoping for. The outcome I wasn't upset with. A cheap plug. Finished at 160 and 93 and 1, 8 and 5. So I finished well above last year. I was under 500. So this was a much better season for me. But anyway, Tampa Bay, speaking of great seasons, the Bucks absolutely dominated this game pretty much from the beginning. They traded punts a little bit, but then after that, Brady kind of does what Brady does in these games, man. There's a reason he now has 7. So, Alex, what were your thoughts on this game?
Listen, it, it's what I thought it was going to be. I thought that, the three offensive linemen that they lost were going to be absolutely huge. Patrick Mahomes has lived in a land of comfortability with the amount of weapons that he has and that offensive line that he has. Uh, and you saw, I mean, they put the stat out 493 or 97 yards he
They had a
ran,
run.
the most ever in the history of a Super Bowl. And I mean, it's got to be close probably to the history of ever, right? It's just insane. I mean, he would literally snap. I mean, there's all these memes on Facebook. I'm sure you've seen them where like it's Patrick Mahomes and it's like three guys as soon as he touches the ball, they're on top of him.
Yeah.
And then he's dodging the refs, because they got to get their plug in because Kansas City Chiefs got brought down to earth and found out their team wasn't as good as they thought they were, that they were closer to the Pittsburgh Steelers than they were the Kansas City Chiefs of old, right? Everybody thought Chiefs or the Steelers were pretenders. I told you going into this, and anybody that would listen, and of course a lot of people didn't, the Chiefs were pretenders in this game without those three offensive linemen. That's just a fact. They played.
Shut up, Chuck. Nobody cares about Ric Flair's titles.
So, yeah, I mean, it was exciting to me. I thought it was great. I didn't want it to be close. I wanted it to be like this so that people would understand that Patrick Mahomes is not God. He's not the GOAT like people are, proclaiming him to be already. They forget the fact that he threw a late interception in the game last year that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't capitalize on, which was his fault. Garoppolo, the San Francisco 49ers' fault. 49ers should have won that game. So really, he should be 0-2 in Super Bowls right now. Instead, he's 1-1. They should be happy that they got a Super Bowl, but you're not going to win 7 out of 10 like Brady. Get over the fact that you're not as good as you thought you were and go from there, because with this albatross contract that they have, they're only going to lose player and player and player now. So enjoy. You got your one. You had a chance at 2. They didn't show up. Yes, Patrick Mahomes played much better in the fourth quarter. Yes, Chuck, without COVID, he still would have won because two of the guys were injured. Only the center had COVID protocol. So they still would have been down left and right tackle.
Yeah.
So
If anything, Tampa would have been better because they didn't have no training camp. So he didn't have time to even – they were kind of makeshift all year. They got beat 31-7 or something week 1.
They probably would have been the first seed if they would have had a training camp. They didn't hit till mid-season stride, right?
So they actually got that bye week where they could actually work out, and it actually and Bakley said good for your Gronk prediction.
Yeah, he only had 2, but I'm telling you right now, the one they threw to the rookie, the third string tight end, if Gronk's in there, that's a catch.
That's a catch. Yeah.
That's the same thing. I said it right away. I was like, "Oh, is that?" And then I saw the number and I realized it was 88 instead of 87. And I said, "Well, it didn't make my prediction correct, but the interception was great at the end for White to seal the deal.
Yeah,
I loved it because I called it in the show. I said White was going to have an interception. I also said Patrick Mahomes would have 2 interceptions. I mean, the
I'll
game
tell
went
you,
pretty much like I called it.
White and Fred Warner from the 49ers are the two best linebackers to me in the NFL right now.
Oh, I agree with you.
Because those guys have just took a huge step. You seen how good Warner was without Bosa. And I'll wait until the 49ers defense is going to be nasty next year.
That's why they got to figure this quarterback thing out. They got to.
Yeah,
I don't care what they got to pay. They got to get Wentz or Deshaun Watson or one of these quarterbacks, or figure out a way to get draft status so you can draft Fields or Lawrence, because Garoppolo's not the answer. Trade him to New England, because I hear that Belichick has got a huge hard on, still wants him. Still thinks that he's the perfect system quarterback for him.
Not to take it off the subject, because we got a lot to dig into still with this game, but Belichick's been in their facility since the mid-November, or not mid-November, mid-January. So he has already been in the office for about 3 weeks now. So I'm just saying, he's ready to roll. Him and his coaching staff have been in the office already. So we'll see what happens. Bakley asked, do you think having the right tackle back next year, having opted out, would have made a difference? Schwartz is an all-pro right tackle. He's a very good tackle.
Right.
But it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. It's one of those things you can't – I mean, if O.J. Howard was healthy, do you think this game – I mean, that could have impacted – there's a lot of things you'd go, what if? Honestly, no. Here's why. Because Patrick Mahomes last year, to kind of piggyback off your point, last year against San Francisco – this year, 26 of 49, 270, no touchdowns, zero touchdowns, 2 interceptions, right? Last year, give me 1 second. I had it pulled up. He didn't play much better. He also threw 2 interceptions. He played like shit in the first half. He played like absolute crap.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the reason. They scored. It was 10-10 at halftime. He had 109 yards and an interception. He ended with 26 of 42, 286, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, got set, and his QBR was 63. So his QBR in the Super Bowl between the 2 games is an average of 54.5. That's the greatest quarter. You know what? I was talking to my dad about this during the game. Maybe maybe the Super Bowl is too big for him. It happens. Remember Peyton Manning? That guy was ruthless during the regular season. 14-2, 14-2, 13-3. Granted, Mahomes has gotten to the Super Bowl, so he gets more credit for that. Patrick Mahomes has not looked good in these 2 Super Bowls. Blame whatever you want. It's funny how coming into the game, they have the best of everything. They have the best running backs. They have the best wide receiving core. They have the greatest offensive mind. They have the best offensive coordinator. It's such a travesty he's not a head coach. What happened to all that this week? What happened to it?
Well, my thing is, I mean, and it's been beat to death, but the whole time I'm saying, why is there not another tight end? Why are they not running out of a tight formation?
Oh, dude,
why are they not?
Was bad.
Why are they not running 2 to 3 man routes instead of having Kelsey? Make Kelsey block. Bring another tight end.
That's why. See, when people get on to me about why I think George Kittle's a better tight end than Travis Kelce, it's because George Kittle will block. I don't know if it's because Kansas City doesn't ask Kelsey to block or he just doesn't want to block. Some tight ends don't.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
Kittle will block.
I mean, there are times when Kelsey has been asked to block and he makes an absolute – I mean, he's like a stone wall. He's a huge guy. So I don't think it's an unwillingness. I think he's just such a huge piece of their offense. And the matchups are just what they are with him, because besides White, right, they're not or Levante Adams, there are not too many linebackers that can stay with Kelsey.
Dude,
so you got to use a safety, and there aren't too many safeties big enough to shut him down.
Levante David.
Yeah, Levante David. I said Adams, sorry.
Damn good job guarding Kelsey, too.
Yeah, he made him look like an average tight end. Now, Kelsey's numbers, I think he 8 catches, 80-something yards, right?
Yeah, dude, he had 10 catches, 133, 15 targets.
Okay. So 10 catches, 133, but no big plays that you really think about.
All right, Chuck. What if? Shut up, Chuck. He's young still. Yeah, but I'm sick of hearing about Mahomes.
Chuck's a huge Mahomes fan, I'm assuming.
Chuck's a Bengals fan. He thinks Andy Dalton's still the quarterback, so he's a little bit lost. But yeah, Chuck, shut up. We're not dealing with you right now.
Before this season, I was starting to join. I was starting to join the fan base of Patrick Mahomes, right?
To clarify, he's 25 years old.
Right. And then when I heard that interview that he did where he said, I already think I'm the best and I'm only going to improve. He lost me right there. Done. Not one of the quarterbacks, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, not one of them would say that in an interview. Whether they think it or not, I don't care. But they would never have the balls to say something like that in an interview. The guy has had every single opportunity in the NFL, probably the greatest offensive-minded coach, an outstanding offensive line, more weapons than any other quarterback has in the NFL, a defense that is good enough that will not lose them games, but they're not going to not win them games, I should say. You know what I mean? They're good enough. They're not going to lose them games, is what I said it correctly the first time.
They're not disciplined.
He is listen, the announcers have been nice because it's Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs, and the NFL really wanted them to win this game and said sticky coverage all playoffs. No, it's holding. You're not calling it. They're allowing them to play more. Mm-hmm. And so now they got called this game, and they still missed a bunch of holds and a face mask that was absolutely horrendous.
Yep, they did.
In the first quarter, where the cornerback that took down Fournette, I mean, he grabbed his face and jerked it, and they didn't call it. Well, I'm so tired of these clowns that had money bet on Kansas City or are closet Kansas City fans or out in the open Kansas City fans. Listen, I have some good friends who are Kansas City fans, and the truth is they've all told me it might have been closer, but we were not the best team in that game. But these trolls on the internet that think, I get my 15 minutes of fame of saying the NFL's rigged, the NFL's rigged. Listen, if it's rigged, it's been rigged for years, and you haven't been complaining about it being rigged for years, so shut up about it.
Yeah.
How rigged is it that Tom Brady went, 23 for 29? Was it? Or 26 for 29? Whatever it was. How rigged is it? Are they
21 of 29, 201, 3 touchdowns? Pretty.
How rigged is it that he threw the ball as well as he did? Somebody rigged it for him to make the completions? Like they helped the receivers catch the ball? Did they cut away from it? No. Sure, maybe there's some scripting to it. I don't care at this point because if it has been, it's been for years. You're never going to find out the truth. So accept it. If you've accepted all the other Super Bowls, accept this one. Just because your team that you thought you were going to make money on, or your favorite team, or the next GOAT, baby GOAT as they like to call him, whatever, got their ass kicked and looked terrible because they were an incomplete football team and they played against the most complete football team this year. Get over it.
Yeah, the baby GOAT thing we'll get into in a second. But back to the game. So the big mistake to me was made at the end, right before halftime, when Andy Reid decided to call timeout when it was 3rd and 2, and Tampa was obviously going to try to go get points, which ended up being going down. They ended up going down and getting 7. So that is a coaching error. And maybe it was just me. So why did this Pringle guy start over Hardman, Sammy Watkins, and Demarcus Robinson? I know Demarcus Robinson had COVID, but he was healthy enough to be cleared, and he doesn't start a lot anyway. But this Bernard Pringle guy started over Sammy Watkins. That was kind of bizarre to me. Sammy Watkins was, just to compare to last year's Super Bowl, 6 catches, 99 yards, and a touchdown. This year, 1 target, 1 catch, 13 yards. So why did they not utilize their guy they're paying actually $18 million this year? They had to restructure his deal. And this guy ain't going to be back with the salary cap, the way it's coming down. And Mahomes, I think his deal doesn't kick in until the year after this one, but he does go up to like $10 million with that in the last year of his contract or something, because his new deal don't kick in until 22. But still, and then you call timeout. You call timeout and you give Brady a 3rd and short, and you call your second timeout because I'm watching with my dad, and I was like, "There's no way that's Kansas City calling timeout." And yes, it was, because we're going to get Patrick the ball back, and it's common sense says he's not moving the ball very well. So let's not. I would just try to get this to halftime, so that stop, then boom, 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 touchdown. 7 more points. And let's not forget, if Ronald Jones just holds the ball out a little bit on that 4th and goal, which he didn't even try to stretch, it's 38-9. I mean, this game is just an even bigger. They were outclassed at every level.
100%.
They ran the ball. They used their, like we talked last week, what were the keys? Pressure, running the ball. The two-headed monster, Fournette balled out. Fournette's going to get a nice little contract. I guarantee you he is not coming back to Tampa on a veterans deal like he did this year. He's going to go get a nice deal somewhere. He earned it this year. He had a very good year.
I feel like the days of running backs getting good deals are done. I mean,
he's going to jump because
if Zeke
did
anything,
for him $12 million a year, he'll go to Detroit. Some stupid idiot organization like that's going to do it. He's going to pounce. They're still running out Adrian Peterson. They need a running back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, he'll probably get paid. I see more in the $8 million range versus $12 million.
I saw this chart earlier about the average running back and what they get paid. He's the highest paid running back in the last 12 years. Won a Super Bowl, and he made a base of $2 million. 10 of the 12 made $1 million or less. 4 of them were LeGarrette Blount of New England. That's pretty damn funny. But it just shows you don't need a franchise running back to win the Super Bowl.
Running back does not equal, Super Bowl wins.
Yeah,
quarterback does.
Don't tell
defensive ends
do that.
Right? Like, I'm not, it sucks, but as good as Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara are, they're overpaid toys. They're overpaid toys.
Well, look at McCaffrey. He didn't even play one game.
If they'd have had a better quarterback than Drew Brees was towards the end, right? He was definitely affected by the injuries, right? He fell off a cliff faster than anybody. I mean, we thought Peyton was bad. Drew Brees went from good, trash in the same season.
Yeah, he couldn't throw the ball more than 10 yards.
Right.
They had to bring in Winston to throw the deep balls.
Right. So, if they'd have started Winston that game, we're not talking about the Super Bowl because they probably beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had not hit their full stride.
I think people are really, really overlooking Jameis Winston going like this year and into the future. Because, yes, they're going to have Tom Brady for next year and maybe a year after that. But I'm talking 5 years down the road, Winston's going to be a pain in Tampa Bay's ass because I think long-term he'll probably end up with New Orleans, and he's still a young guy too. As Chuck said, Mahomes is young. Winston's only a year or two older.
Yeah, I think he's 26 or 27.
Running game was Brady's best friend. No, you got to use it. You're smart. Kansas City would have been smart to use it. They used it a few times, and they had success. They just gave up on it, which I blame Andy Reid. There's a reason this guy went to like 37 NFC championship games and went to 1 Super Bowl. The guy just doesn't make the smart decisions when push comes to shove. He just doesn't. He's not a great critical game coach. Bruce Arians and his coaching staff, which is very, very good, by the way, coach circles around this guy. Eric Bieniemy, greatest offensive mind ever. Meet Todd Bowles.
Stop.
Todd Bowles whipped your ass. Dude, Todd Bowles' game plan was absolutely perfect.
It was flawless.
They pressured with 4. They covered. They doubled Hill, and they bracketed Kelsey to a point. Because like New England plays man-to-man. They'll bracket Hill with Jonathan Jones and McCourty. They'll put Chung on Kelsey, and they'll have somebody like they run that 3 safety backfield.
Right.
So, and they'll have that third one just chill out there.
But in Todd Bowles' career as a defensive coordinator, he blitzes like 68% of the time, right? It's astronomical, the amount that he blitzes. He blitzed, I think it was 3% or 4% of the times in this game. They didn't need to. I mean, the defensive line was living in that backfield. all game long, man. And how huge and overlooked was Vita Vea coming back? Holy
Yeah,
smoke,
I completely forgot
man!
about him
If
after he
you
got
look,
hurt.
if you look at those big plays when Mahomes got hit, Vita Vea was chasing him off his spot, and he might not have made the tackle or the sack, but he was pushing the pocket. He was moving him to where the other guys would rally to the ball and get Patrick Mahomes. Now, listen, I'm not going to kill Patrick Mahomes because he made some terrific
I
throws.
will, but I'm waiting for the next segment.
I'm not going to kill him because he made some terrific throws that uncharacteristic. I mean, the one to Kelsey, I've never seen Kelsey drop a ball. So the fact that he dropped it in a critical situation like that was ridiculous to me. The two touchdowns that literally hit face masks in the end zone. I mean, that they put all their bungles together in one game, and it just happened to be the last game of the year, happened to be the Super Bowl, and the fact that he literally had no time to throw the ball, and they didn't do anything to help him out. But because they've been very cocky and arrogant the entire year, and we're just going to do what we do. You're going to adjust to us. Well, Tampa Bay didn't need to adjust to them because they were setting the line every play.
Yeah, they do. And you hear Romo, which I swear Romo gets his erection just like boing, like as soon as Mahomes. I tell my dad, and he was like, nah, I don't think it's that bad. And I was like, dude, when Patrick Mahomes hits that field, Tony Romo's on like a different planet.
He's like a little kid.
He's like, oh my God, they said his pants, that it looks like he pissed his pants. That wasn't piss, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. He was very excited that number 15 ran onto the field. But anyway, all right, let's go to this, segue to this. Is it time to stop the baby goat talk? I'll lead with this because I wrote a long-ass article about this the morning of the Super Bowl because I literally had to spend an hour and a half writing an article saying it's time to put some respect on Tom Brady's name, which after all of these years, and he's already won 6 Super Bowls before this time, I feel like it's still ridiculous that people actually have to come out and say shit like this. Baby goat was the most disrespectful thing you could ever say to Tom Brady. And I would not be surprised if this kind of fueled him a little bit too. This kid's been in the league for 3 years. Granted, he's played great. He's played fantastic. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. Granted, he would have been to 3, but Brady took his ass out of the playoffs when he was with New England. But still, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback, if not player, to ever play in the NFL. And you could argue now greatest athlete. He just passed Jordan. And don't hit me with this Robert Ory shit. There's a difference between being a dude that sits his ass on the bench and hits a few threes than a guy that leads his team for 22 years now. It is disrespectful how the media and all these sports analysts and experts want to just knock the old guy out of the way and bring in the new blood. Because, call me nuts, I think the distance between Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson, I don't think it's that huge of a damn gap. I think if Deshaun Watson was on Kansas City, they'd be just as successful as they are with Mahomes. Same with Russell Wilson, which we'll get to Russell and him possibly, God, could you imagine if somehow he ends up being on the blocks along with, we'll get to that. But let's just think, I put in my article, what if Patrick Mahomes ended up in Chicago? And he was dealing with this every week like Mitch was. Mitch is out there running for his life. Foles is a sitting duck. It does matter where you get drafted.
100%.
Alex Smith was 10-6. They won their division. The only reason Mahomes played that year, which is his rookie year, he played week 17 against Denver, is because they had everything clinched. They gave Alex Smith the game off, or else the kid wouldn't have seen the field. Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes does wear makeup. Thanks, Chuck. But Patrick Mahomes in a perfect situation, which we can't fault him for that. It's not his fault he got picked and went to Kansas City. It is what it is. Andy Reid seen the kid. He had faith in him. He went up and he gave up an extra first-round pick, I think, right, to go up and grab him. This baby goat shit's done. Stephen A. Smith drives me insane, but he crushed this on First Take Monday. He's like, I never want to hear it again. He's like, when Patrick Mahomes has 5, maybe we can start talking. He's like, but he's not going to get there. Too many things happen, man. I've seen so many NFL players over the last 2 weeks saying, I would have liked just to get to 1 or 2 Super Bowls. This dude's went to 10, and they make it sound like Patrick Mahomes is a foregone conclusion. He's going to go to 7 or 8 of them. That's a hell of an assumption.
Well, the craziest part about all this is
the salary cap.
Right.
Coaching. Andy Reid's not going to coach for 20 more years, man.
No.
Things happen. I hope he doesn't get hurt. I really do. I would not wish injuries on a guy. But injuries happen. He's been banged up. He missed a few games last year, and he just had surgery. He has surgery tomorrow. So he has little nicks and bruises. And when, like we said before we went on the air, $53 million cap hit. You're not going to be able to keep everybody. You're going to have to nail your draft pick.
Oh, the good thing is that they get a year of relief, right? Because the cap's going to rebound next year, right?
I hope so.
It should go back to, let's say 200, right? Or at least what it was. But the craziest thing about all this is, and all these clowns that still think they have a reason to say that Tom Brady is not the GOAT. There are 3 plays that separate Tom Brady from being 10-0 and 7-3. That's insane. People forget in that game against Philadelphia, if Edelman makes that catch, they win that game, and it's the greatest achievement of Brady's career to that point because he broke the record. You know what I mean? To do what he did, that people thought he was a system quarterback.
Yards.
Right. 525 yards and how many ever like people forget that.
It was a shootout. Right? That Super Bowl is what we thought this one would be. 2
ridiculous catches by the Giants wide receivers.
And they still, like in New England, when Brady left the field, he was winning all 3 of those games.
Yeah, 100%. He never got a chance to answer back.
I think Philly, I forget if they were.
Philly, he was down.
Come back.
Yeah, that was the Edelman drop that cost him.
And then Brandon Graham stripped him because that hurt because finally a Michigan guy not named Tom Brady made a play and he had to be on my team, but whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, so like all 3 of those games that he lost, he could have easily won. He could easily be 10-0.
That's what
3 plays away.
It's crazy to me. Nobody in the history of the league has been to 10 Super Bowls besides him.
Do you remember the Wes Welker throw where Welker just completely – that was the undefeated Super Bowl, I think, too. Like, there's just – and, yeah, David, it was behind – Edelman should have still made that catch. I've seen him make a lot of more difficult catches than that.
What do they tell wide receivers in high school at every level? If your hands touch the ball, it's your responsibility to bring it in. If you're in the NFL and you're at the pinnacle of the sport, if your hands touch that ball, you catch it. Period.
If it's in butts or candy nuts. Chuck's being a smart ass, but he makes a good point because I hear what if all the time. It just didn't happen for I'm never going to acknowledge him as baby GOAT. He is
in the
NFL right now. It really depends. If you're building a team right now and you get the first pick overall, I'm a jackass. I'm taking Aaron Donald. I just am. I'll take a quarterback later. I'll take a quarterback in the second round. Okay, I'm taking these.
I think that's a little extreme. I think that's a little extreme.
Well,
I'll take Patrick Mahomes, but the problem you have is I'll take Patrick Mahomes on a rookie deal. I don't want him on a $53 million deal a year. I mean, listen, I don't think they had to pay him that type of money. They could have paid him $40 million a year, and you know what I mean? That leaves you another $10, $13 million a year to deal with the rest. Like, I get it. You want to, make sure he's locked in as a franchise. You want him to feel the love and all that stuff. But, I mean, you got to put a team out there with him. And in 2 years, when you can't re-sign Kelsey or you can't re-sign your left tackle, or you can't re-sign, Chris Jones or whatever, you're going to have to hit every draft pick in every round.
Frank Clark. So, I mean, going into this will be 2021. Frank Clark's a $26 million. Mahomes is a $25 million cap hit this year.
Right.
Chris Jones, 22.5. I mean, Chris Jones, they're over the cap $17 million going into next year.
Yeah, they're going to have to cut somebody.
Chris Jones, if they trade or cut him before June 1st, clears up $21 million.
What about Clark? Because I'd rather have Jones than Clark.
Clark clears up 25, but it also leaves a dead cap of 13.5. For Chris Jones' dead cap 750, which I highly doubt Chris Jones is going anywhere because they just gave him that huge contract. Eric Fisher, $15 million, but Kelsey staying. Anthony Hitchens is probably gone, but he lives a $3 million dead cap. They're gonna lose some of these guys, man. They just are. It's how it works. You have a salary cap, and they're 17 million over it already. So they're gonna have to hit on their draft picks. And just think, 5 years from now or 3 years from now, is Andy Reid still gonna be there? He could have 3 to 5 more years tops. I don't know. Eric Bieniemy's probably not going to last that long. I know that he didn't get a head coaching job this year and everybody's all pissed off or whatever. But odds are he's not going to be like Josh McDaniels and patiently wait around. He'll get an opportunity and he'll pounce. I just don't – the assumption that he's going to be in the Super Bowl every year because he can throw the ball without looking or he ran 500 yards as often. Where are all these excuses when they were squeaking out every damn game this year? Because like you said earlier, all these weaknesses shown all season long. They did. His offensive line was not great. They didn't run the ball very well. Patrick Mahomes was not he had a great year. He could have won MVP over Rodgers, right? But this wasn't the Kansas City team we're used to seeing. They almost lost to Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, listen, if we're being realistic and the calls are made right and everything is reviewable as it should be, if we're going to make things reviewable, they don't beat the Browns.
That's fair.
So I mean that's legit. So we're talking about Browns and Bills. Whoever wins that game is playing against Tom Brady, right? So listen, they were not the team they have been. They were not what everybody hyped them up to be, and all these clowns projecting big wins and all this nonsense of Kansas City. It just, the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, dude. Bakley makes the best point because you look at the fucking running game, 9 carries, 65 yards. How do you hide a deficiency in your offensive line? You run.
Sure.
And they didn't. They ran 14.
But that's not their game. Their game is high-flying, flashy football.
See, that's a coaching problem.
Agreed.
It's like, not to bring in Belichick because I'm wearing a fucking Patriots hoodie, but like, what does he do every week? He game plans for that opponent. He doesn't use the same game plan all 17 weeks. If you're playing the Colts, just for an example, and their run defense sucks, guess what? Sonny Michel's getting it 30 times, and Damian Harris is getting it 15. They're going to run. And
I was worried. I'm not going to lie to you. I was worried when I saw how well Hilaire came out and was doing in the first. I was like, they're just going to run the ball, pound. And now listen. Tampa Bay's strength, 32
yards. They should have got him the ball more.
Right. Tampa Bay's strength was their run defense all year. They were number one, I think, right? So, listen, maybe you don't want to run into their strength, but at the same time, if it's working, you ride the horse until it doesn't, you get kicked off.
Listen, so this happened during the game. So Archie texts me, and he goes, why the hell does Tampa keep running the ball up the middle for? They're getting nowhere. 3 plays later, play action, he hit Mike Evans, and I text him. That's why.
Yeah.
I was like, it sets up play action. They buy the fact that they think they're going to run. They freeze. Evans hits that one move. He's wide, 31 yards. Then the Gronk touchdown. Play action
also,
again.
too, if you look, too, the big run by Fournette, he faked middle, bounced it to the outside, and you know what I mean? Like, that's why you
have to make them give in.
Right. It used to frustrate me too when I would watch it. But then as I started understanding more about the game plan, then you understand that there's a method to all this madness, right? You know what I mean? So, you're going to –
Kansas City.
Yeah, 100%.
You know how you free up Tyreek Hill? You get the safeties stop. Is he running? Oh, shit. Tyreek's fast as –
He ran cover 2 the entire game. There was one play I saw where they brought the second safety down and only had one single high safety. Other than that, there were 2 safeties on top the entire game. It's insane. There were not more screens, which was amazing to me because that's another way to bring the safeties down to the box.
And Your offensive line's weak. You game plan around it.
It looked like Kansas City was not prepared at all. And listen, I'm not going to call Andy Reid a liar because he said the game plan was instituted a week before. But his son being in that accident, I have to believe, had a huge effect on him.
Well, it would have to. It would have to. Not to where, I don't know. It's definitely something. Well, maybe during the game he could just block it out for the few hours. But
because if reports are true, I mean, his son's going to jail for a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not just the fact that your son's involved in a car accident. It's the fact that he's responsible for hurting children.
Yep.
And then he's going to go to prison for a long time. I mean, those are
prayers to the families of those kids and I hope they're all right. That's coming from a dude that was an idiot and got a DUI years and years ago and felt like still to this day easily the biggest regret I've ever had in my life. It's not smart. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Uber's not expensive.
In this day and age, you don't have an excuse.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the terrible Super Bowl commercials. I mean, they got people that bring you food now, let alone bring you home. I mean, there's no reason. But prayers out to that family. Hopefully, they're good. And his son's in trouble, but it played a role. But they were just completely outclassed. And when I think of class, even with all the Deflategate shit and all the bullshit people say, to me, it doesn't get any better than Tom Brady. And I'll tell you the second part where Kansas City really messed up. Tyrann Mathieu, don't talk shit to Tom Brady. Just don't do it. Just don't. How many people have to do it? Who's one of the toughest players that's ever played? Ray Lewis. Brady got in that dude's face more than at least 5 or 10 times, dude. The Ravens and Patriots were bitter rivals for a long time just because of every year in the playoffs we've seen them. And they were the team that actually knocked us out in the first – or not the first round because we always had that damn bye, but the first game, they'd come to New England and beat us at our own game. 7th Super Bowl win, 5th MVP. No, Leonard Fournette did not deserve to get MVP. If he did, Damian Williams should have won MVP last year instead of Patrick Mahomes.
Well, he should have. I mean, let's be realistic. Damian Williams got robbed.
He did.
But you knew nobody but Patrick Mahomes was going to get that MVP. Now,
it's sad because it's same with the regular season MVP.
Now, Tom Brady had better stats because he didn't have the interceptions that Patrick Mahomes had last year, right?
Yeah,
so
if you go 26 of 50 and you win the Super Bowl MVP, there's something wrong.
Right. So there's a case for Williams to have won last year. Tom Brady, for what he meant to that entire team and what he did. Listen, the only other true candidate would have been the entire defense, and they're not giving it to the entire defense.
I would have gave it to your boy.
Well, I mean, I called Devin White, but we knew, I said,
if you had an MVP for the playoffs, he might be your guy. He balled out in every game. Just think about the gauntlet that Tom Brady, Alex. I was talking to my dad about this too. Put it in perspective. He beat Patrick Mahomes, right? He beat Aaron Rodgers. He beat Drew Brees. Isn't it funny? The biggest struggle they had in this whole postseason was Taylor Heineke in that Washington front seven. That was the closest game he had all playoffs.
Because that was the second best defense in the playoffs.
It's just funny how things work. If you would just sit somebody down.
Oh, yeah.
And say what I just said to them, they're like, oh, man, they destroyed the Redskins. Man, Brees, that was probably close. Rodgers was probably close, and they probably lose to Mahomes. It was
the opposite.
He breezed through. No pun intended. Sorry, David Jones. No, David's a
New Orleans fan.
But he just went through it. He beat Heineken. Yeah, I mean, they beat him, but that was the closest game. I watched that game on my couch. It was a Saturday night game. That's when I had to be in by 8 o'clock or whatever. So
I was nervous. I told people that game was going to be close, and everybody, you're crazy.
That's the best defensive line in the NFL. And if they can actually land one of these quarterbacks, which after this, we're going to go through all the quarterback rumors because they're flying around right now, including Russell Wilson, which is like a new thing that might be a development.
I don't think there's a how.
I don't either. But I didn't think Deshaun Watson would either. But if you look at Washington going forward, with that front seven, they get a quarterback in there. If they get a Kirk Cousins kind of quarterback in there, granted he was there. I know he won't go there. I'm just saying that type of quarterback. Watch that out.
I really thought that they would have made a push for Stafford, but nobody's offering what the
No,
Rams offered. So
no, the Rams went all in.
yeah, 100%. I mean, because they got the defense to win a ring. It's just, and they have some pieces on offense. They don't have
They
slouches
need another
anywhere.
receiver.
Right.
Logan Tom. But back to Brady. So his fifth MVP, which is bizarre. So now he has more Super Bowl MVPs than Joe Montana has Super Bowl wins. So for you people wondering if he's the GOAT, what else do you want him to do? I mean, if you didn't think now, then you're literally just a hater at this point. So Alex, what did this teach you anything else about Tom Brady that you didn't already know?
Yeah. So listen, I thought the most telling part was, right, and I don't have any insider information or anything like that, but if you watch the stream from Twitter from Antoine Winfield Jr., I think is who it was, right, where they wanted to show Tom Brady, right, and so he shows him. I don't know if you saw the video or not. So he shows Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's in his locker, and he's packing up all his stuff, and you catch a glimpse of his face, and he looks upset, right? And he said, look, man, Tom's been through this. He's done this. He's done. You know what I mean? Everybody else is champagne and stuff. What I really think it was, and this is honest to God truth, is that he lost his temper with Tyrann Mathieu when he ran after him. And in his mind, people can say what they want, right? But I think Tom Brady is a great American, not as a person, right? Not just like what you see, a lot of it's facade, whatever. He's a brand, whatever. But I think he's legitimately a good person. And he can't believe that, all these years and he lost control like he did. And he went, because that's out of Tom Brady's character. Now, Skip went all through about Psycho Tom. And I agree with you. There have been points where Tom is throwing shit on the sidelines, yelling at Josh McDaniels. I don't give an F. Get out of my face, whatever. But I've never seen him do it to another player in that way, where he went out of his way. He'll let you come to him, talk what you want. He'll make sure he gets his 2 cents in, but he lets it go. But he was fired up.
Yeah.
And so I think, it has to do with the baby goat talk. It has to do with the fact that he's been disrespected for 20 years.
That 199 thing, dude, he does not let that go.
No, of course not. You think he let go the fact that, the naysayer said he was washed up when he went to Tampa? Right? You think he let that go? I'm sure he had clippings in his. I'm sure he had clippings in his locker that you couldn't see from the video of every single reporter that said that he was done and that he was the reason New England wasn't good, and it wasn't. And I told everybody it wasn't. You can see film if you're a student of the game. I'm not a coach. I'm just a guy who's passionate about football. You can watch and tell that Tom Brady, yes, he has lost a little bit, but nowhere near what people were thinking.
Well, no,
he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
When you get older, you can't take the guy from sporting goods at Walmart to the Super Bowl every year like he was in New England. He needs some help. When you get older, they get a little more help, which Bakley brought up the point earlier. Tampa should get some credit for drafting well. On the offensive side, they should. Their defense was young, and it's been getting better. It was pretty good last year. But you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He got Gronk to come with them. Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette. Brady got them to go up and get Tristan Wirfs. Remember, because we were doing the draft thing. They went up one spot, but you never see a team just go up one.
Oh, for what? Except that they knew they needed Wirfs. Yeah, I mean, he was Brady the missing piece.
We need to get this guy on my right side. Because you got Smith on the left already, and Smith played really damn. They had
he was
tackles. By the way,
he was the number 1 rated right tackle. By the way,
yeah, and he was great
as a rookie.
Yeah, then you get AB in week 8 or 9. They just had everything was laid out there. Brady's a smart guy. He knew when he was going through his little recruitment thing. He talked to he talked to damn near everybody, right? The 49ers. It's funny. I saw a Pat McAfee show. I saw a report that the 49ers actually told Tom no, thank you.
Insane.
So that would be the second time they fucked up, not picking up Tom Brady, because he wanted to play there out of Michigan because that's where he idolized Joe Montana. But whatever. To me, this is the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm not, if people trying to argue with me, I'm not even going to acknowledge it anymore. It's not worth wasting my breath or even getting somewhat irritated. It's common knowledge. People that don't even watch football, that just watch the Super Bowl or even like, this guy's here again, that's not New England. I got Texas. When did Tom Brady go to Tampa, and how the fuck is he in the Super Bowl again? That's how good he is. I was 100% wrong on him this year. I thought he was more of a problem in New England than he really was.
I told you. Remember what I said.
Listen, I can't help it that if somebody came like this, he would get mad and throw the ball in the third row. He looked like shit last year. Maybe it was the weapons. Granted, Cam didn't look that great, but Cam, let's be honest, dude. If Jerry Rice is out there, Cam, he ain't catching the ball off the turf. I mean, I don't know what the hell. New England won 6 Super Bowls in 20 years, so I'm not going to bitch about it. Worf was really good, but the rest of the O-line was good, and that was not expected. Yeah, out of Marpet, the left guard,
all the
other linemen that was actually rated really high. Jensen did a great – yeah, he's good at trash talking. But, dude, getting that chemistry. Remember, Brady's only had 2 centers his whole career, Dan Copen and David Andrews. Brady don't like change right there. I think he had the guy that went to the fucking Dolphins last year, Ted Karras.
Yeah.
Because Andrews had that blood disorder last year. Greatest quarterback ever. You'll never see it again. Baby goat shit is disrespectful and needs to stop, and I never want to hear it again. When Mahomes is going to his 6th or 7th, I'll entertain it, but I'm not acknowledging it ever again.
I mean, listen, there is
22 years.
To me, this ended the conversation right here. Supposedly, Patrick Mahomes is in his prime, has all his weapons. Yes, I understand the offensive line was diminished. I get that. Tom Brady was supposedly washed last year. He is diminished from what he was at his peak, and he beat him head to head. Yes, that defense played outstanding. I give Todd Bowles a lion's share of the credit, but Tom Brady did not make a mistake. Tom Brady was cool and collected like he is in the big games when it has to be the time, and he did what he needed to do, and he won. You can't argue about a winner. I get tired of this conversation, same as I'm sure you do. And I'm not a New England fan, and I certainly would not consider myself liking New England, but I respect what Tom Brady. He's the only player to ever wear maize and blue that I've ever actively rooted for, and this was the first year because I'm tired of the disrespect that people send his way. It's like it's a team game. Okay, well, it's fine. If it's a team game, then that's great. But why do you give Patrick Mahomes all the credit when he's got more weapons than anybody in the NFL?
He's got a damn good coach.
Exactly. Well, Bruce Arians was a castaway until he went to Tampa Bay and they won this year. Nobody was going to give Bruce Arians a job as a head coach. Tampa Bay took a chance.
Paid off big time.
Yeah, like I just don't get it. You can hate him for the cheesiness. You can hate him for, he's got a more blessed life than you. You can hate him for all those reasons. But you can't hate on him for what he does on the football field because he just wins. It's proof. It's done. The conversation's over. I don't think there's a chance unless we got a guy that comes in 10 years from now and goes 7 for 7 and is just, maybe robots will be playing by then, so maybe it won't be a mute point. But I'm just saying, like, it just doesn't there's no comparables to tell me that Patrick Mahomes, I don't care about the stats. I care about the rings and the wins and the culture and the perception, right? That's what I care about. Ask his teammates. Why in the hell did Gronk, who was chilling, relaxing, having a great retirement, come out of retirement? Because he knew if that guy's on the field, I got a chance to increase my legacy, win another ring, and have fun and do it the right way.
Yep.
And they did.
He's coming back next year. So
listen, and all these people, all these clowns talking about, Shannon Sharp and Clown Carr talking about Devin White and all these guys, and Levante David have priced themselves out of Tampa. No, they're not, because Tom's going to take a pay cut. He's going to take a big chunk and a bonus, they'll be able to bring a couple of those back. Mike Williams already said, it's been well documented, that he will take a pay cut to give other players some money. They're going to be just as strong. Maybe they lose.
He said he'll take a pay cut.
Right. Maybe they lose Godwin. Right.
Listen,
but Antonio Brown, you're telling me Antonio Brown's not better than Godwin?
Here's what's going to happen, dude. I'll tell you this: New England's going to cut Edelman. They are. He's going to get cut. Guess where Edelman's going to go?
Oh yeah, veterans minimum.
You know,
go down
James
there and play.
James White's a free agent. Guess where he's going? Let's not kid ourselves here. They need a pass catching back. Leonard Fournette did a great job, but he's not a pass catching back.
Right.
James White and Julian Edelman will both be in Tampa. I'm already over it because I expect it to happen. I just do. James White to me, he's the second best pass catch. Well, McCaffrey, Kamara, James White is my top 3 pass catching backs in the NFL. Because Kamara, hell, he's a better receiver to me than a running back at this point.
Yeah.
But if McCaffrey's healthy, good luck. They'll be back. That team's Barrett, Shaq Barrett, Fournette, and Godwin are the 3 that worry me if I'm a Tampa Bay fan of pricing out, because Barrett was on the tag this year and he had just every year this year. Sue could take a veterans minimum deal. And let's say Shaq Barrett leaves. You got that boy J.J. Watt that could be cut anytime now. You think he wouldn't come down and play with Tom for a year, get rejuvenated to try to make one more run? I think Tampa's going to be fine. And our last question will be what we think about Tampa going into next year. So we'll save that for the end. But before we get to the ever-changing quarterback rumors, which I think I talk to Alex every other day, and I think there's 10 new rumors every single day. But before we get to that, we have a new commercial for all of our audio-only podcasts, so check it out. And if that wasn't enough for you guys, make sure to check out all of our live podcasts right here on The Buzz. David Jones will sneak this comment in before he gets back. Now that Alex is gone, I can give him props for his Super Bowl prediction.
Hey, sorry about that.
That is all of our live shows. That's our updated new song, new layout, same shows. Some stuff might have bounced around a little bit, but same stuff over here at The Buzz. Make sure to go to @WTB.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We'll have that commercial before we go off the air tonight. Quarterback updates and rumors, Alex. So let's start with the one that we kind of talked about and we think's BS, but it's worth talking about because to me he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Russell Wilson came out yesterday that he's sick of getting hit and he's confused why Seattle's struggling so much to learn that they need to put an offensive line in front of him. So what is your take on what's going on up in Seattle right now?
Yeah, listen, this caught me completely off guard. Like, you know, there are certain quarterbacks you expect to just toe the company line no matter what. Whether what they feel in the background is, you know, completely different, but you just don't expect a guy of Russell Wilson's caliber to come out and make statements like this. it took. I really don't know what to think because is he not been happy for a while, and so he sees what Deshaun Watson's doing, and it most likely Deshaun's going to get his way, so he's thinking, well, I can get my way too, or is it, does he hope that this? Because I can't imagine he wants to go anywhere. I mean, Pete Carroll's a decent coach.
He's a player's coach,
right? As far as what he provides for the players, so I don't know. Where does he go? Who's going to trade with Seattle? I mean, it's another thing, yeah. But what are you going to be able to give him that's comparable to Russell Wilson?
You're never going to. You're not going to do it for Watson either. You're never going to match it. You're just going to have to get everything you got. I'll give them our first-round pick for the next 5 years and Stephon Gilmore.
Whoa. I mean, Bill fucks up first-round picks anyway. I mean, that'd be good for you, probably.
Well, the NFL will try to take 3 of them, so it's better off using them to get Russell Wilson anyway. And then Bill will draft N'Keal Harry over DK Metcalf and another one and fuck that up as well. But anyway, I don't think it's very early in this process. They asked him on the Dan Patrick show today, well, if he's available. He said you'd have to ask the Seahawks. I'm unsure. So that's a very telling quote. This is worth monitoring going forward. We will keep an eye on this. People thought Matthew Stafford getting moved was a big move. This is bigger to me than Deshaun Watson. These are almost even. Russell Wilson, a guy, but he's been and won a Super Bowl. Deshaun has not. Russell Wilson, this is a game changer. You have 2 quarterbacks that are absolute game changers on the market.
My thing is,
dude, if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, and the Eagles are asking for that, Bakley, you can probably help. You probably know they're asking for reportedly a crazy amount of stuff for Carson Wentz. I'm calling Seattle like, what do you want? They actually have excess pieces that they could trade. Oh, well, I'd gladly give 3 first-round picks and Michael Pittman and go use some of my $90 million in salary cap room and go sign an Allen Robinson or something to replace Pittman. If that's what it takes to get a Russell Wilson into your team, that the Colts are ready to win now. He wants an offensive line, check. He wants weapons, check. He wants a good defense, check. Good coach, players love the coach, check. The Colts are the perfect fit.
Oh yeah, listen. I just don't see how he could get to the Colts. Listen, if he goes to the Colts, that shakes up the AFC because
they're the favorite.
Are the Chiefs still the favorite now? Because I mean. There is a difference, right? Patrick Mahomes is younger and is playing better at this point right now.
But you see what Russell does with his limited amount of resources.
Right.
The defense isn't
I can't imagine
good anymore. The offensive line's not great. Is it just me or do they use about 10 different running backs every year?
Yeah, for sure.
So you go in there, you got Jonathan Taylor, good O-line. Oh, and Hines, you could just drop the ball off to, and he'll get you 30 or 50 yards at any point in time. 2 good tight ends. They have tons of salary cap room every year because Ballard from the Chiefs knows how to sign and structure contracts and draft. Guys need to start having special stipulations in their contracts. Watson knew Houston was a dumpster fire, and you're not wrong, David. He's dead on. We talked about this last year after Deshaun signed the deal. Why did you sign it for it?
Right. So the thing is, too, I don't know if you remember, a lot of people forget about the Max Unger for Jimmy Graham trade. Yeah. That, I called it way back then. You can check my Facebook. I said, this is the worst deal Seattle's ever. Max Unger was still a top 3 center. He was still a top 3 center in the league when they got rid of him and traded him for another weapon that didn't work out to be.
No, at all.
Right. I mean, so it was baffling to me. And that's, if you remember, after Max Unger went to New Orleans, what happened? I mean, they've been absolutely.
The Saints won that trade.
Without a doubt.
Right?
Not even a question.
All right. This is one we're going to keep an eye on going forward, obviously.
That's huge.
That's Carson Wentz. So this is where the rumor mill's swirling and you hear 10 different things. The report is today that was basically brought up Matt Ryan in the comments that the price for Carson Wentz, Philadelphia is asking for so much that the Colts are considering Matt Ryan because with the Falcons having a top 5 pick, I think it's top 4 actually, you can get a Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, whatever kind of guy right there and just start them and rebuild going forward because Atlanta is going into a rebuild with a new head coach. And Arthur Smith's probably going to want his quarterback, right? And then Matt Ryan, you could probably go get a couple first-round picks for – if I'm the Colts or New England or I think the 49ers is his best fit. I know the Colts are just – they know if they get a proven quarterback, they're ready to win a Super Bowl or compete for one. I think Shanahan in San Francisco is the best fit for Matt Ryan. But – getting back to Carson Wentz, what do you see playing out here? Because the last rumor that I have is that they were going to trade Wentz to the Bears for Nick Foles, Tariq Cohen, and a first-round pick.
Whoopee. I mean, you're in the same spot you're in now. Both organizations. There's a reason why Mitchell Trubisky hasn't been – I don't think it's all Mitch Trubisky. Okay, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Bad offensive line, not a real true offensive direction in that terrible organization. Terrible play calling. Maybe some bad locker room guy. I mean, it looks ugly up there on offense. Their defense played really well again this year.
Bears always have a pretty good defense,
right? So, yeah, maybe he goes to. I mean. I wouldn't make that trade, but I mean, maybe Chicago's that desperate for a quarterback.
Well, you got a coach and a GM on the hot seat. They have to get somebody in there.
But is Carson Wentz your best option? Why not go after Matt Ryan?
I don't think they give a shit. They just got to get somebody in. They have 1 year. They don't care about 5 years. They got to survive one. Nagy wants an extension, and so does Pace. If they don't perform, if they're 3-6. If they're 1-4, 2-5, they're probably getting fired into next season anyway. So they need a guy. Is Carson the guy to answer your question?
Is Carson going to save their jobs?
But I think Carson getting a clean slate.
No, listen,
Indianapolis.
He deserves it, but is it going to happen?
But is the Bears the best place when it seems like Allen Robinson's already kind of got both feet out the door? If you follow him on social media, he's kind of, I want to go get a ring. That's not happening in Chicago. Sorry, Bears fans, for the next 3 or 4 years, unless shit turns around really, really quickly. That's going to be interesting. I still think he ends up on the Colts. I just don't know how the Eagles, I don't know how they think he has extreme trade value coming off career worst in everything. They have no leverage at all. He's going into a contract, one of the worst contracts the Eagles have ever given out, that hasn't even started yet. A team's not going to be inclined to trade for that. Like when Stafford got moved, we talked about it last week. It was last week, the week before, I can't remember. But the Eagles, if I'm the Colts, I'm saying, listen, I want Carson Wentz and I want a first-round pick because I'm taking that shitty contract off your hands.
100%.
That's what the Rams did with Jared Goff. We're going to give you 2 first-round picks and this terrible contract we regret signing this guy to for Matthew Stafford. And the first-round picks was the price they paid for that mistake. If I'm the Colts, I don't know what I'm offering. Honestly, I'll give you a 2. I'll give you 2 2s, but I want a first in return. I'm not giving you a king's ransom for Carson Wentz. If that's not good enough for you, I'll go call Atlanta and be like, hey, I'll give you 2 first-round picks for Matt Ryan. I'm serious. Why would Atlanta say no? They're rebuilding. That saves them $20 million in cap room. They can take your boy Justin Fields. They're at 3 or 4. I can't remember. They can get Fields, Zach Wilson, or one of those other quarterbacks, or trade back and get a Mac Jones or Trey Lance, and they can start their rebuild because Atlanta's in a rebuild.
Yeah.
So, Philly, pump your brakes. Get what you can. Get them out. Try to get out from under that deal. If you got to throw a couple first-round picks into it, that's fine. Oh, man.
They don't draft well anyway, so it's not like those will be good draft picks.
Jalen Reagor, I'm sure you'd rather trade Carson Wentz away. Throw in Jalen Reagor with them. Get him out. mean, do what you got to do, because that pick worked out well, didn't it? Travis Fulgham, who worked at Dollar Store during the season, was their best damn receiver. Get out of here. Dak Prescott. Here we go again. It's going to be one of those off seasons, I feel. Coming off the injury, he's expected to make a full recovery. Guess what, Alex? They're not close to a contract again. So,
yeah, I mean, I heard they offered him $175.
Yeah, so short and sweet. Are we just going to watch the same thing play out this year that did last year?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to transition tag him, I'm assuming, and then hope that somebody's dumb enough to give them transition tag price, and if not, then they're going to ride the season with him again.
Yeah. This one's short and sweet. We'll talk about this a ton because you're going to have Dallas offer him $8 million more. Dak said no, all this shit, and he'll be on Dallas next year on the franchise tag. Jameis Winston. So all the reports are, so Drew Brees took a $24 million, not necessarily a pay cut, but it cleared out $24 million in cap room, which the Saints had. They were over $100 million over the cap. So it helps them a little bit, but damn, that team is going to have to do a lot of restructuring to get under that cap. And re-sign this guy. So Sean Payton was a complete jackass and said if Taysom Hill was available, all 31 teams would be calling, which is absolutely not true, especially with his $18 million cap number going into next year. There's not a 30 – he'll be 33 next year, and he's doing like 25 career passes. He's not a franchise quarterback. You can tell yourself he is. He's not. This is your guy going forward. He has a year in your system, and he's going to be 27 this year. I'm signing Jameis Winston. I think Bakley said earlier in the show, I think a 3-year, $48 million deal gets him in. Maybe a 2-year deal because he might want to get paid if it works out.
I mean, do you think that when you got the Colts dangling that team up there?
I don't think he's a good fit for the Colts. The Colts are going to want a proven guy that's ready to win.
I guess. I mean, a lot of the early rumors were he was going to sign with the Colts.
Last one we have is Sean Payton said Drew Brees should have a decision within the next week and a half, and then they will go from there.
How is he not retired already? Like,
well,
what is?
He just took a pay. It's like I said, it's not a pay. I don't know what the hell to even call it. He just cleared out. He went from making $25 million to making a base salary. Drew Brees is not playing next year on a base salary. He's going to retire. So they just need to clear out cap room and sign this guy. The Colts are the team where I can't wait till they sign a quarterback because I'm sick of hearing about how every damn quarterback is going to the fucking Colts.
Right.
We need one too, okay? Maybe they can get Jimmy Garoppolo because I'm sick of every quarterback that's available. Russell Wilson go to the Colts. Carson Wentz go to the Colts. Tom Brady he'll opt out of Tampa.
The problem you have is you don't have any weapons on offense. So no good quarterback wants to go there.
We got Jacoby Meyer.
Jesus. I mean, you heard the rumor from Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, but listen,
the only place I won't go is New England.
Yeah, but like Brewski said, it's because he's not tough enough.
I mean, that's fine, whatever, but
listen, Sam Darnold is a hot name right now as well. The 49ers, dude, let's talk about the 49ers for a second because they are flirting hardcore with everybody right now. There was a rumor about Kirk Cousins. There was a rumor now that Sam Darnold, Deshaun Watson, hell, Carson Wentz to a point. Hell, fucking Dak Prescott, I've even read.
You think
Garoppolo's that bad?
That's what I'm saying. You think that Darnold is better than Garoppolo? You think that Wentz is better? I mean, I don't know. Potentially,
they're pressured because in that division you have Stafford, you have Russell Wilson, you have Kyler Murray. Garoppolo is definitely the fourth best quarterback in that, so they feel like they need an upgrade to compete. Now, to your point, is Carson Wentz an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo at this point?
Who knows? Potentially, but
injury history are about the same. Garoppolo's went to the Super Bowl. Wentz had that one great year where they won the Super Bowl, but he got hurt. Is Matt Ryan. Now, if I'm the Niners, Matt Ryan's the only person I'm getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo to go get. Matt Ryan played with Shanahan in Atlanta.
You wouldn't get rid of him to go get Deshaun Watson?
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Dak Prescott?
Man.
Dak is more accomplished than Garoppolo. I don't care that
Yeah.
Garoppolo's been to the Super Bowl. That defense drug him there. I don't think
that's a realistic option. I'm just talking about realistic. I don't think Dak's going anywhere. What's Dallas going to do? Draft Trey Lance? Really? No. Dak Prescott's going to fucking be there. They got the 10th pick. They're not getting rid of Dak.
Right.
Matt Ryan with Shanahan, logical sense. Atlanta, Matt Ryan was the damn MVP under Kyle Shanahan. What do they need? They got Debo. They got Mostert. They got Coleman. Ayuk. Who's the other guy? I'm forgetting it. Kittle will be healthy next year. They had over $100 million of players on the IR. Bosa will be back. Armstead will be back. They got stud players everywhere on defense. This team's ready to win. They needed a quarterback. That's the only guy I'm taking realistically that can replace. Obviously, I would take Watson or Russell, but if I'm not getting him, Sam Darnold, you know what?
Well, yeah, but there's no chance Russell goes to San Francisco.
I'd trade him. The Bears, that'd be cool. I mean, I don't think Sam Darnold's going anywhere and changing the life of your franchise, though, like some people do. He hasn't been a win. He's played like shit his whole career. Granted, the Jets haven't been great, but he's shown me nothing to make me think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback anytime soon.
Agreed.
So if I'm the Jets, if you're the Jets, what do you do with that 2 pick? Do you draft and try to put shit around him, or do you trade him and move on?
Listen, I mean, that's tough because
you're in your contract.
I feel like if you draft Fields, because you're not going to get a shot at Lawrence because Urban Meyer's a clown, but he's not a circus. I mean, he's going to take Trevor Lawrence. So if you draft Fields, right, I think you're going to be good at the quarterback position, but you don't have an offensive line. You don't have the means to procure an offensive line. You don't have weapons. So that's not their only need. So you should stay with Sam Darnold, trade out of that number 2 pick with another quarterback-hungry franchise, and pick up a couple more picks and just stick it out with Sam Darnold because no matter what, they're going to be in the top 5 next year as well.
Yeah.
No matter what they do, they're going to be top 5 picking next year. Now, Salah might, be a whisperer like everybody says he is, and maybe they're out of the top 5, but I highly doubt it. No matter if he coaches his butt off on that defense, they just don't have enough horses in the stable. So I would stay with Sam Darnold, and I would, and part of it maybe my Buckeye bias, and I don't want Justin Fields to be in purgatory as the New York Jets, but I wouldn't. I mean, that's the thing that cracks me up is that Deshaun Watson's first rumored position or place that he wants to go is the New York Jets. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
it's the same. It's
worse.
East Coast version of Houston. It's the same thing. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like,
Jets. The issue is Darnold has it's the end of his deal.
Right.
So they have to make a decision. So if they don't think he's the guy, you need to move him, draft a quarterback, get on that rookie scale, like you said, get that quarterback on that rookie scale, try to build. They do have some cap room, and the report came out today that Will Fuller and Juju are their 2 top targets. So if they can go out and grab 2 receivers like that, throw them on there. Herndon's a nice tight end. He's not great. He's solid. They did take a left tackle in the first round last year. They have 2 first-round picks this year. They can just utilize their cap. They could they could win 6, 7 games this year if everything went well, and that'd be a great leap for them. But I'd rather, if you're the Jets, if you're a Jets fan, which if you are, Alex Strange from Working Fans, I apologize because he's a diehard Jets fan. But I'd rather do it with a rookie quarterback with a 5-year contract that's on a rookie scale, even though it's going to be top 2. Get another. What can you get for Darnold? A 2nd, 3rd round pick, depending on how starving that team is for a quarterback.
Are you sure you can even get that?
I guarantee he'll get a 3, at least.
A 3, sure. I mean, I don't know about
his
a 2.
Contract's the reason. If he is signed for 4 more years, I'm asking for a 1 or a 2 if a team wants him that damn bad.
Right.
But he's an unproven quarterback in a contract year, so you get what you can get. But we'll see. And the guy, Jimmy Garoppolo. Rumors on him are kind of dead right now. He's kind
Should
of,
be. Who
if
wants
the
it?
Niners find somebody better, they'll move on. What do you think he ends up elsewhere?
The only chance in hell that he goes somewhere else is to the Patriots.
And the only way that we're taking him is if they cut him. We're not trading anything for him. Belichick's not taking a $26.5 million cap hit on Jimmy Garoppolo. He's just not going to.
I mean,
Loves him, but
then I don't see him going anywhere else because I'm not cutting him if I'm the San Francisco 49ers.
If they go and get Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz or whoever the hell they plan on getting, they're going to have to do something with him.
I'm sure he's in that trade. It's going to be a quarterback for quarterback trade. It's not going to be
But if you're Atlanta or Philadelphia, do you want $27 million Jimmy Garoppolo coming back?
I mean, it's better than $40 million whoever, which is apparently the standard market now.
This is where we'll disagree because I think if the Niners acquire Matt Ryan, Garoppolo's cut the next day. I think we'll just waive him outright. He's a clean cut. No guaranteed money. $26.4 million saving. Clean cut.
Then why isn't he cut right now?
Because they don't have a better option yet.
I guess. I mean,
when that's the reports are that they're looking for an upgrade due to the fact the NFC stacked Brady, Rodgers, all the players over there. They feel like Garoppolo's not durable enough to take them where they need to go, and you can't trust him every year, which is fair to a point. I'm just telling you, watching the way New England operates for the last 10 years or last 20 years, especially the last 10 years, was how cutthroat Bill's been. Since Brady started to decline a little bit, granted, not what Bill thought, but a little bit, they're not going to go take a $26.5 million cap hit on Jimmy G.
I mean, he don't like to pay anybody.
Well, Jimmy G, to me, I wouldn't pay Jimmy G 1 year, $27 million anyway. I just wouldn't. He's not durable enough. I'll give him 1 year, 15 with incentives. Make him earn it. I would take now New England's in. Mitch Trubisky, like you said, wasn't in the best position. I'd take a flyer on him on a 1 year deal.
For New England?
Yeah. He can move. We showed that we can.
I mean, is your offensive line better than Chicago's?
Yes. Our offensive line was very good this year.
Because you had a running quarterback who ran most of the time.
Dude, we got Tooney. We had 3 Pro Bowlers on our offensive line.
Okay.
And listen, don't forget the highest rated rookie in the NFL was not Justin Herbert. It wasn't Justin Jefferson. It was Michael Aniwu, the right guard / right tackle in New England. He graded out the highest. Dude played 3 spots on the line, so we're solid on the offensive line. Granted, a free agent. But yeah, he would have an upgraded offensive line, and I don't think that New England – I think Bill's aware that wide receiver's a weakness, right? I don't think he's going to sit there like, yeah, we'll sign Danny Amendola, and then we're good. Like, I think he knows Jacoby Meyer being your best receiver is a problem. So I think they'll address it, but we'll see. Ryan says that's a running team. Let's not forget Jimmy G. I agree with you, Jimmy. Ryan, I'd keep him. I'd build around him, and I'd pray to God.
Around Jimmy G?
Yeah, I'd keep him if I was the 49ers. He just went to the Super Bowl. His durability is what his only question, which is fair. He's a solid quarterback. There's nothing wrong with him.
All these quarterbacks, except maybe Darnold, I would say he's the least talented.
But looking at his stats, it doesn't help make me feel
better. Listen, this is my point. It's like
70%, 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks, a 102 rating. The last year he was healthy. But look, here's the issue.
When was the last year he was healthy? Tell the year.
19, they went to the Super Bowl. But 17, he was hurt. 18, he was hurt. 20, he was hurt. New England, in 2 games, he got hurt because Brissett had to play those last 2. That's what I'm saying. Durability is a problem. That's why I'm telling you, New England, Bill's not going to trade a second-round pick to acquire a $27 million injury-prone quarterback.
I mean, Jimmy G, he wanted to make his son and
that was
run
in 2015
and run Tom Brady out of town.
That was in 2015 before this long line of injury issues happened.
The guy that just went to a team with no offseason and turned the whole franchise around and won the Super Bowl.
Your segues are brilliant. So we're going to segue back to Tampa. So do you think maybe not? The question is, do you think they're a lock to make the Super Bowl next year? They definitely, to me, are the favorite in the NFC. Once again, the favorite, according to Vegas, is the Chiefs by a significant margin over the Bucs, which is another motivating thing that Brady's probably going to use next year, as dumb as it sounds. They just dismantled this team in the Super Bowl, and now they're not even favorite to win next year. And we talked about you're not a wrestling fan, but I did learn something. To be the best, you got to beat the best, and they're the team.
Yeah.
So do you think Tampa's a lock to make it next year?
I don't want to say lock because there are a lot of outlying factors, right? Like Levante David, there was a report leaked that he wants to be the highest paid linebacker in the NFL, right? I mean, you got a guy who's been in the league 9 years, and he wants to be the highest paid. I mean, I'm not.
All right, so
he says he wants to be with the Bucs, but if you make him the highest paid linebacker, then you're losing somebody else.
All right, so I'll pull up two things. I'll pull up their cap room, and I'll pull up their free agents. So I'll tell you the free agents first, the notable ones. So Shaq Barrett is an unrestricted free agent, as is Levante David. Gronk, I think, will come back cheap because
he's coming back on the cheap.
Sue, Steve McClendon, who they acquired at the middle of the year. I think he'll be gone because V's back. He was just acquired from the Jets because he got hurt. Fournette, I think Antonio Brown comes back on the cheap. And then you really don't have much else outside of maybe Ryan Suckup, who did kick pretty well for them. Chris Godwin. Right. Chris Godwin, I think, is gone. Antonio Brown
fills that position.
Yeah, well, Brown and Mike Evans, and when New England cuts Julian Edelman, he will be there because New England's not paying him $7 million to play.
Right, you got Scotty Miller. I mean, I think Scotty Miller is a better version of Julian Edelman.
Well, because you know who's calling the shots there. That's why. You think he's not going to get Julian Edelman?
For what, though? To be his fourth wide receiver?
That's what AB is.
Yeah, I mean, I got you. I mean, I would say AB is the third.
Chris Godwin with Julian Edelman.
Right.
I mean, it's a downgrade.
Big
Don't
time.
get me wrong. But Brady's familiar with them, and Edelman will play all the games next year, the little prick. Missed 10 games this year. So they go into this offseason with $28 million in cap space. Tom Brady's got a $28 million option, which obviously he's going to exercise. Mike Evans reportedly said he will renegotiate his deal. Donovan Smith, the left tackle, is a $15 million clean cut, which I assume they could restructure. Pierre-Paul's $12.5. They could restructure. Jensen's a $10 million clear cut. So they could restructure.
Well, I mean, do they need to bring JPP back if J.J. Watt gets cut and they get a sweet deal on J.J. Watt? Yeah, that's $15 million in cap space.
Do they need O.J. Howard at $6.3 million after they just won a Super Bowl with Brate and Gronk?
Yeah, but Brate's been kind of – what's Brate's hit?
6'5".
So you get rid of Brate, keep O.J. I mean, I don't know.
They really don't have much after that that's really that bad. O.J. would be
what's their cap space, though? That's what's
28.
So they got 28.
That's Barrett and David.
Yeah, you could fit both of them in.
So you're going to have to clear up, like you said. I'm sure Brady restructures, Evans will restructure. You get Smith. I bet you Pierre-Paul will restructure.
Yeah, he'll restructure to stay there.
Devin White's contract's not up until 2023, so they're good there. Yeah. David's going to be the one.
So, yeah, listen, if they can figure out a way to get Barrett and Levante David back, I would say they're a lock. They haven't lost a game since the game they lost to Kansas City in the regular season.
Great.
Yeah, like they look like the hype machine that everybody said Kansas City was.
They
just do it on defense, which
they didn't talk.
Aren't as big of fans of.
They didn't talk. Yeah. They put it on the field.
Yep.
And they showed they were the better team. I firmly always believe the champion, until they are eliminated, are automatically the favorite.
Yeah.
No matter which sport.
I mean, I would agree. I was shocked.
The Lakers, I think the Lakers should be the favorite in the NBA. I don't even know who the hell wins it in hockey anymore, but that champion should be the favorite. The Dodgers should be the favorite. They just got Trevor Bauer too, but they should be the favorite because they just won the World Series. You always got to be the best. You got to beat the best. The best team this year is Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I think they could be better next year. Now, I'm not doubting Tom because I got burnt this year, but there's always that slim chance he'll be 44 next year, 43. You never know, man. I hope not. Well, I hope he has a shitty game when he comes to New England next year. Other than that, I hope he does well because Tampa comes to Foxborough next year. So that I guarantee you, Alex, Sunday Night Football, 8:30, under the lights, hopefully in late November when it's snowing because I love snow games. Russell Wilson versus Tom Brady. What do you think?
Stop.
That's my Super Bowl pick. New England
That's
versus Tampa Bay. It's going to be Russell Wilson versus Tom Brady.
There's zero chance Russell Wilson
And
comes
then
to the
New England.
Patriots.
So what's going to happen is Malcolm Butler is going to get cut by Tennessee. New England's going to sign him back. Brady's going to go to the 3-yard line and throw an interception, and Butler's going to intercept him, and they're going to win to redeem Russell for a couple years ago.
That was just pure, utter nonsense that you just spit out of your mouth right there. Listen, I get it. I get it. For almost all of your life, your football franchise has been relevant. But until you're relevant again, stop with these fantasy situations, okay?
Russell wants out. He wants to play for.
He don't want to play in New England.
Yes,
He's
he
going
does.
to throw the ball to.
Devin Asasi.
Oh, Jesus. I quit. I'm done. You're wasting my time right now.
Get him. The problem with New England is nobody.
Who are they going to sign? Who are they going to sign?
No. Allen Robinson, Will Fuller, Juju.
Kenny Galladay. They better sign all 4 of them.
They don't need all 4 of them. Jesus.
Nobody wants to come there, dude.
They got a good line, a good stable of running backs, the best coach in history.
Matthew Stafford said,
Matthew Stafford's a
I'll
pussy.
go anywhere but New England.
He's played in the
I'll
cold
go
his whole career.
anywhere but New
He
England.
doesn't play good in cold weather. He doesn't want to go play there. He played in a dome.
The
That's why
greatest
Bruce
quarterback
used to-
of all time left there.
We let him. We mutually parted ways.
That's fine. But he left there because the writing was on the wall, and that team is in a rebuild, whether you want to call it or not. 2 to 3 years, you might be relevant again, but you might not have Belichick at that time.
We went 7-9, and we
went 7-9 with a running back playing quarterback. I get it.
And we were in a 3-point game against Seattle, close game against Kansas City, close game against Buffalo. We were in. There's about 5 games we could have
Well,
won.
you
as
still
well.
lost. I mean,
I know. I'm just saying. 7 wins could have easily been 10. It's not like they were light years off. You know what I mean? Like, I know they don't have weapons, but granted, they would have won the fucking NFC East. Like, they weren't that bad. They won 7 games after losing the greatest quarterback to ever play this game. 8 players opted out. Kyle Van Noy went to the Dolphins. All their defensive players that didn't opt out signed with the fucking Dolphins. All of them did.
I got you. Listen,
Still won 7 games.
the theory sounds
Should
great.
be said about that.
Listen, the theory sounds great.
No, it's not a theory. That is
But
true.
you don't have a quarterback on your roster right now, right?
Jared Stidham.
Yeah, stop. Anyways,
He was working out with Jordan Palmer this morning. That's a good sign, right?
Listen, until you guys make it back to the playoffs, which is not going to be next year, I don't want to hear about these fantasy trades of
They
franchise quarterback.
England will be in the playoffs next year.
No chance.
That's a guarantee.
I think you go 6-10 next year.
We get worse.
Yeah,
Cam leaves. You
get worse.
Cam leaves and we get worse.
You get worse.
Oh boy. Well, I don't pay bets, or else I bet you. That pissed somebody off.
Oh, geez, there you go. Turn in that knife.
Listen, they'll be in the playoffs next year. We'll discuss this at a later time when we're talking about our free agents. When our free
All right,
agents,
maybe you guys go 8-8. Maybe you guys go 8-8.
When we're sitting here and I'm like, we got Russell Wilson this offseason.
Oh my God.
We got Allen Robinson. Juju
No
the pay
franchise
cut.
quarterback is going to the Patriots.
We trade a 4th-round pick for Kyle Rudolph to get him out of Minnesota.
Man,
We're just loaded.
we just lost like 50 viewers, and nobody wanted to hear any of this non-take.
I think my parents even disowned me. We'll end with this. David said it was the perfect storm for Tampa. They got hot at the right time, caught all the breaks. Credit to their defense, but I'm highly surprised they happened again.
Hey, remember when I predicted them at the beginning of the year and you murdered me, David? Oh, man. I know, buddy. But listen, they were the best team in the NFL this year. Not the whole year, but they were the best team in the NFL. They had the most talent. If they sign Levante David and Barrett again, who's going to stop them?
I think in a still a slightly COVID-affected 2021 season, which should probably start. Hopefully, these vaccines and all that fun stuff are good, and we
won't know till September, according to Fossey. So
that would be beginning of football. So maybe by mid-season or earlier in the part. With COVID, it's like baseball, which be sure to check out Hunter here in about 20 minutes. He has a big show tonight on a Frozen Road podcast. But in baseball, you've seen a lot of these players sign 1-year deals. And a lot of players are still sitting out there. I know our boy Dave Prince made a really badass spreadsheet of all the available players left. There's a playoff team of players left. Like if you put them all on one team, they could compete for the playoffs. So I think the NFL might be another thing. They might be looking for that 1 year. David could take 1 year, $8 million instead of holding out for 5 years, $80, just to win. And honestly, I think next year is Tom's last year, especially if he wins it again. I think you're going to see a lot of these players take a 1 year deal for little money just to play with him one more time.
If he wins next year,
he has to retire.
No. Why wouldn't he go for 3, which has never been done? That's the pinnacle. That's
he won 3 the first time. He won 3 out of 4 in New England.
3 in a row.
That's
never been done. Think about it. That's the biggest FU to every hater there, because there literally is no argument. The guy's broke every record. He's done everything. He's won more rings. That would be his 9th. Wrap your head around that. 9 Super Bowl rings.
It could have been 12.
Like, I mean, that's the ultimate middle finger to your face. Like, I'm the GOAT. Deal with it. I'm not just the GOAT of football. I'm the GOAT of all sports.
Yeah, I already got him there.
Yeah, I mean, if they went back to back, there's no chance he doesn't come back for 1 more year. No chance.
You're probably right. He said he wants to play. He said he feels like he can play past 45, and he's been saying 45 for years.
Look at him. Look at him, man.
The way he looked Sunday.
Did you watch that game?
If you can build a team like Tampa Bay has and keep that team around him and put him in the best position, I don't doubt him. I'm never going to doubt him again. Ever. Never should have. I should have known.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd have bet with him all 10 Super Bowls, you'd have won 70% of your bet. You'd have more than covered on the 3 that you lost. I mean, it's a not smart thing to do to bet against him.
And you're never going to see it again. Ever. You're never going to see another quarterback like Tom Brady.
Now, I could listen, as good as Patrick Mahomes is and has been, this early on in his career, I cannot imagine him even getting to 7 Super Bowls. I mean, we all know, I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers at all. As far as like his whiny crybabiness, right? His the B word I don't want to say on air, but anyways, as talented as he is, he's only been to 1. Everything has to go right.
Drew Brees won 1. Dan Marino won 0. I mean, just because you're the most talented player doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go to the Super Bowl.
And that's where people get confused when they talk about the GOAT thing, and it's like, nobody's saying Tom Brady is the most talented quarterback ever to play the position.
He's not in the top 5.
But he sure as heck is the best to ever play that position.
He's the best right here.
100%. Yeah,
and this is what the game is, preparation.
Peyton Manning gets all this credit for being the smartest quarterback. No, it's Tom Brady. I'm sorry for you, but every single playoff loss attributed to the Colts was due to Peyton Manning mistakes. Get over it. I don't care if you
And
like
like we
it.
talked
But
about
it's
last
not in
week,
my top 5 of all time. Sorry for you. Don't at me. I don't want to hear about it. Peyton Manning is the greatest
Don't
choker in the history of the NFL. Period.
I can end with
Done.
that. Before we officially end it, check out why Alex collects himself, and I, have a quick laugh because obviously I'm a huge Peyton Manning lover. Check out all the social media places you can find the buzz. We will be right back.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I'd go far. Baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now.
We are necessities. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Fun episode. Football's now officially over, so next week, me and Alex's pretty much shows will be heavily NBA, but with NFL stuff starting up and these quarterback rumors, It's only a matter of time before we get some trades going down. And I don't know how you feel about it, but once one goes down, I think we're just going to see a shitstorm of tons of quarterback moves happen.
Yeah, because, you got teams like San Francisco are connected with 3, 4, 5 different quarterbacks.
And the Colts and the Niners get a quarterback, it's going to free up. And even you have third layer guys like Andy Dalton and Mitch Trubisky and Jacoby Brissett, who New England could obviously look at because he's been there before. There's a ton. There's 18 quarterbacks.
They're so desperate for a quarterback, man. It's hilarious.
Listen, Brissett could be the backup.
It's like being a Browns fan all my life, man. You're finally experiencing
I'm just telling
it.
you, Russell Wilson in the backup, and Brissett fits that kind of mold. He's mobile. He can hold a clipboard.
Russell Wilson, I will bet you money right now that Russell Wilson is not coming to New England.
I'm not allowed to bet money anymore.
Okay, well, listen, when you get off grounding, you talk to me because that's not
fair.
happening.
But before we wrap it up, at 8 o'clock, so about 12 minutes from now, Frozen Rope Podcast, John Hunter has Steve Peralt from Barstools and Section 10 Podcast. We're going to talk a bunch of stuff baseball. Make sure to check him out. He's going to start in 12 minutes, so I need to get off me and Alex need to get the hell off here so you guys can get ready for that. Thanks for checking us out. Go to @WTB.com on Twitter, Facebook, all the things you just seen in that cool little promo video. I'll see you Thursday on RSH. Me and Alex will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, and be safe. Wear a damn